fight for with my mental light. Trust me when I tell you that I made it all right. She had curves that made highways in heaven. Held hostage, and many men turned their heads and popped up like ostrich. Yo, they had to look. And
Was she
after
born in
one
Brooklyn?
conversation, telling you, kid, yeah, the E was hooked, but determined not to jock like the rest of the flock. So I let her fly away, and she came back one day. Well, maybe it was that night, cause it felt so right, and the loving was so tight. Yo, this hot mamacita was more than appealing. The sex was so deep, we saw spirits on the ceiling. The kisses were the best, pure sweet like candy. But after 5 months, we ended it, and it didn't feel dandy. We even used to run and shower together. Yo, the sexy Latina made me feel tougher than leather. She made me happy.
Just want someone happy.
What's up, good people? An old song that led me to the love of my life, my amazing wife. But this is Make Someone Happy. This is episode 149. Knowledge is Love. Biggie Astrology. Your boy Eric Taylor in the house. And my amazing guest tonight is none other than someone who was actually alive during Marilyn Monroe's time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And my mother-in-law, Lauren, is here. You want to say hello? Squeeze in and say hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
There she is.
Yep.
So you were actually, 15 when she passed away?
Yeah. I just remember she was very special.
Yeah.
And my mother adored her.
Your mother did?
Yeah.
Well, what's fascinating, so my mother-in-law is an Aquarius sun, and Marilyn Monroe, Gemini sun, 11th house, Leo rising, and Aquarius moon in the 7th house. So we'll get to the actual chart in a minute. Hopefully you guys here. Hello to everybody in the comments. We'll get to you in a second. But I guess the way that I really wanted to do this tonight is I'm not going to read the chart again live because I already read it. But I kind of wanted to go beyond the chart reading and discuss with you guys your thoughts and your questions about her chart and really explore, a little deeper about this legendary, iconic woman and actress who, beyond 1962 and 36 years old, her legacy's even increased since then, right? I mean, she was viral before there was a viral. She was Twitter.
She was iconic even when I was just a young teenager. She was iconic then. She was special.
Yeah. And she did win a Golden Globe in 1960 for Some Like It Hot. And ironically, she wasn't really too excited about doing that film. Marilyn Monroe, with this Aquarius moon in the 7th house, she really wanted to be taken serious as a serious actress. She didn't like the dimwit and the blonde bombshell roles and stuff like that. And I found one thing that was fascinating. She went through, I think, 7 different iterations of blondish, goldish hair before she got to her iconic look, because she was born a brunette. So born June 1st, 1926, 9:30 a.m. in Los Angeles, California. I didn't mention it in the chart reading, but she did have a few miscarriages. One or both may have been with Arthur Miller, but I know one was with Arthur Miller. She was married 3 times, right, to James Doherty, Joe DiMaggio, and Arthur Miller. But the shortest one was with Joe DiMaggio, okay? And you'll see, I mentioned in the chart reading, the first 2 marriages were in the 5th house of dating, romance, and fun sex. And she said that Joe DiMaggio and her connected in this sexually and physically, and that he was a good lover. So I thought that was actually kind of funny. And her 5th house is the Leo rising, is actually Sagittarius, and he literally was the Sagittarius. The first husband, I believe, was an Aries. So she was definitely attracted to that fire energy with her Leo ascendant and Aquarius moon. So it kind of makes some sense and stuff like that.
I just
let's get to the chat.
Evelyn
and what do you want to say?
Taurus is here, says hello.
Hey,
Oh,
Evelyn.
April?
Hope?
Apple?
Yeah,
April?
yeah.
Oh, it says hello. And then it's interestingly, Irene Mack.
Hey, Irene.
Hi, Marilyn and I have the same birthday, same sun and moon. That's Irene Mack? Isn't that
wow,
interesting?
Irene.
Wow.
That's okay. But I think, Irene, aren't you a Cancer rising though instead of a Leo rising? I think I remember you telling me that. But the same sun and moon.
Isn't that interesting?
That's fascinating.
Same
Well,
birthday.
yeah, you may
That's
be really connected to her, Irene. And hopefully, Irene, Hope, and Evelyn and I get to meet you next Saturday at Coffee Talk. It's long overdue. This is Coffee Talk number 18, Irene. Okay, I sent out the email today. We're going to be reading 2 Coffee Talk members' birth charts. I'm very excited. This is Saturday, July 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern. And first, I'm going to teach a lesson on how to read a birth chart. So I'm going to give you some little techniques and secrets, but how to initiate a chart reading. And then we'll do it as a group, as a collective. So I'm really excited about that. And I think I may do something similar to that in August, where I read 2 Coffee Talk members' birth charts. So, if you come, you can volunteer your chart. I already have 2 for, next Saturday. But I haven't selected birth charts to read for August. So
Let me. Irene says, I don't do whole sign.
I know, Irene. I
Okay.
know.
And then Mad Gaming. I remember that
Hey,
name.
what up,
Hi,
Mad Gaming?
everyone. I hope everything is going well. And Irene jumped in here again. Oh, wow. Amazing. I got email.
Yes,
So,
you did get an
anyway.
email. But are you a Cancer rising, Irene, or Leo rising? That's the question. So I want you guys to share any of your questions or thoughts about her chart, right? She has the Neptune and the Lilith, true black moon Lilith on the ascendant. And that really speaks to, right? And she spoke about it, being sexually abused. I didn't realize that her mother was a schizophrenic. And so, her mom wound up giving her to one of her friends. And her friend had worked in the film industry, I forget, it was like some small office or whatever. And Marilyn, got really caught up into the movies that way. But then also with her foster family, they didn't want her in the house. So she would just go to the picture shows and stay at the theater all day long. Right. And back in the day, you could stay at the theater all day long, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that's what Marilyn Monroe would do as a young girl.
Yeah.
And she sort of got her break after taking pictures and photos and modeling. And like I said in the chart reading, her first film was at the 10th house midheaven, which I think is really cool and awesome, in Taurus, for Miss Pilgrim. And she did quite a few films, and she got her Golden Globe Award for Some Like It Hot, and she did The Misfits that Arthur Miller wrote for her. But she was so upset because this was during the time when they were starting to divorce. And when he wrote it for her, he was doing rewrites like the night before. She was on a lot of prescription medication. And throughout her career, she had issues with her lines and, wanting everything to be so perfect and this and that. And I think some of that you could see with the Virgo second house, right? Wanting that perfection with her, second house speech, you see? So it was really kind of fascinating, even more research for tonight's show, finding out different things about her that I, wasn't aware of when I did the chart reading, like even the mother. Go ahead.
Irene threw in here as well a minute ago. Cancer with Venus there too in first.
Oh, I didn't know you were Cancer Venus and Venus in the first house, Irene.
Hey, Mad. She threw in too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I didn't know that. Okay. So you have Venus on the ascendant like both of us. We both have Venus on the ascendant, my mother-in-law and myself. So Irene, me, and my mother-in-law and you, we're all kind of attractive people. That Venus on the ascendant. So, but also very pleasant and charming. That's what Venus does on the ascendant. It makes you very social, relatable to others. People can find you, easy on the eyes. But you can have a secret sweet tooth as well. Irene, do you have a sweet tooth? Did you used to have a sweet tooth, Mom?
Oh, when I was a kid, oh my God.
Yeah, it was bad.
I used to return bottles to get the money to get candy.
Okay. See, and I used to eat playing video games. I would eat a whole box of Entenmann cookies. I now I just might have like one. You got to be careful when you have Venus on the ascendant. You guys, you can indulge in many things, not just the sweets. You can indulge in the love too. But Venus is, it can be a lot on the ascendant. Hers is in Sagittarius, mine is in Scorpio, and Irene's is in
Irene
Cancer.
wrote, yes, we are attractive. My personality is attractive most time. And OMG, yeah, I love chocolate with all my heart.
Oh,
Irene.
see, that's great, And it's funny, because this is where you can laugh, right, and enjoy astrology because it can be so not just so realistic and accurate, but just, hey, like you can't hide from the fact that if you got a sweet tooth, you got a sweet tooth. And it can also do that, you guys, if you have Venus sometimes in the second or in the sixth house. Depending, it's more in the first house, but I've seen it with the sixth and second house and sixth house as well. So with Marilyn, you guys, the Neptune on the ascendant can make you a very talented artist and actor, where you can morph and become, bigger than life. But what happens with Neptune on the ascendant, and this happened with her. Now, Robin Williams and Tom Cruise, I think Kim Kardashian, maybe Lana Del Rey, myself, and Marilyn, we all have Neptune on the ascendant. But with her having the Neptune and the Lilith, she became this sexual fantasy where she was overly sexualized. And that's what the true Black Bone Lilith on the ascendant does. It's where, now I never heard stories about, anything with her and women, but men and women can hit on you when you have Lilith on the ascendant. It's very strong. And she definitely said that, she dealt with the sexual abuse and then played the game, and she hated it. And she said it, that, where she had to sleep with older men and producers in Hollywood. And this is and she said, if you weren't willing to do it to get a role, there was another girl right outside the door who was willing to do it. And that's just terrible, right? So she was kind of like, she was Me Too ahead of Me Too, Yeah, but she said she would not allow her sexual abuse or even what she experienced getting in the industry to define her, and there was a photographer who took a picture of her, and the woman had just asked her, what are you reading? And she was reading Ulysses, and she was an avid reader. She loved to read Plato and, deep philosophical books and all types of books. She was always reading because she dropped out of school early on. She never completed high school, but had a thirst for knowledge. And Aquarius moons are highly intelligent, you guys. And she said that she felt a kinship to the downtrodden and people who were neglected and outcast and abused. And I really believe that she was going to create, she would have gone further on in her career and her life, big nonprofit, and done a lot of big philanthropic work because she had that big heart, and she had mentioned it, and it's just unfortunate, so
she had a vulnerability about her that after all, this was the era of Jane Mansfield, Anita Ekberg, a lot of these other people, but she had this, you felt like you wanted to take care of her.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know my mother really related to her, and just she was totally different than the other sexy icons then. She was just different.
And who was that one woman? Something Williams, Judith or Judy Williams, somebody at the time. I just remember in the research, Marilyn was upset because this woman who, it was a show, the movie was called Men Like Blondes or something. And Marilyn was upset because she was only allowed to get like 50,000 per picture. And this woman who was a brunette, Judith or June Williams, was, yeah.
So you can see her.
Yeah. So when you're talking, we can see it.
Okay.
Let me just move this. But that it was, it was really, she was getting 200,000 for the film. Now, later on, when she got out of her contract, it was really cool because it was annual perfection year of her 6th house. So she was 30. Stop. It's okay. It was 30. Oh my gosh, 30. I think when she was around 29 or 30 years old. It was Capricorn 6th house is when, or it may have been on Aquarius moon. It may have been on her 30th birthday or 30th year, where she got a new contract with, I think it was 20th Century Fox, and she wound up getting like $400,000, which was really big in 1961 or 19. Yeah, it was around 1960 or 1961. So, I thought that was really fascinating. So, see some more comments.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, Irene even mentioned that the women loved her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mad Gaming is saying, hey, Irene.
Yeah. So, one thing that I would say, too, about Marilyn is that her legacy being bigger than life, a lot of that does come from the Neptune on the ascendant. Because what happens is when you have Neptune in the 1st house, people can idealize you. Remember, Neptune is fog, illusion, deception, confusion, right? Addiction. But it's like a fantasy. It's like a dream. And so people can like really view you as someone magical, and you can be a great actor, a musician, or artist, because you're like a shapeshifter. But when people have Neptune on the ascendant, it really can take up to 25 to 30 years for them to really know themselves. And people will put things and labels on you. Oh, I know Marilyn, she's this, that, and that. Well, no, you don't know Marilyn because Marilyn didn't know herself. And so that kind of played out, but then also some of the drug addictions. And, now it's still questionable. We'll talk about that when we get to the chart in terms of, when she died, it was age 36. So it was back to the 1st house, Leo. And Leo is the entertainment industry, but also the government. So some people say, it doesn't seem like she would be one to commit suicide. She was trying to start her own independent film company. She had all these big dreams and different thoughts and ideas. And, so I just really, I don't know. Okay. You want to see what's going on in the chat?
Just Mad Gaming has been real busy lately, and that's why she couldn't get a hold of it. Let's see. Irene mentioned that women loved Marilyn.
Oh, yeah.
And Mad Gaming saying, hey, Irene.
Oh, okay. So do any of you guys, did you guys that are here, did you see the birth chart reading of Marilyn Monroe? What are your thoughts? Any questions? Another thing that I found really fascinating is that she really had to, at age 15, move out of her foster family's house. So she married her neighbor who she was dating, James Doherty, at age 16, right? So that was, there was that issue with the Saturn and Scorpio 4th house, in terms of restrictions and the way she was treated, and even her, she was always yearning for her to meet her father. He was Canadian, and he had another family. And later on in life, when she finally called him, he kind of rejected her. He was like, just leave me alone. I've got a family and da da da. And she was always seeking that father figure. And she kind of admitted that in relationships and stuff like that, that she was kind of looking for that, and, you know, married, always married older men. James Doherty, DiMaggio, and Arthur Miller were all older. So it's, you know, it was kind of sad and tragic, you know, this legendary life. So any questions? Okay, nothing?
Well, you know.
Any new questions or comments?
No.
So one thing that I would say that, you know, was really fascinating, that not only that she had the Gemini sun, and for her in the 11th house, but, you know, she got with JFK, who had the Gemini sun, and she got kicked off of the film because she left a movie she was doing, and Fox Pictures, they kicked her off because she went to go sing happy birthday to the president, and they had to like put that beaded tight dress. They did it like around her. They created the dress around her because it was like skin tight, and she was like, happy birthday.
I remember that, of course.
Yeah. Was that like, so in the news at that time, was it like really controversial and was like a big, you know, brouhaha? And
You know, at being my age, I don't remember if I saw that directly or in like a film afterward,
okay,
but it was really, it was something.
because he's a married man, and when she did it, it seemed as if like it was just her singing a hymn. You know what I mean? It was very intimate and sexual and flirtatious and personal.
Yeah, I don't know how old Irene is, but Irene has a comment here a few minutes ago that she got to watch. So you maybe around my age, Irene. So I don't know.
Oh, did she watch it live? No, I thought Irene was maybe
She wrote, I got to watch. Or maybe you just know from news clips, because I mean, practically everything that was anything with her was recorded and repeated quite a lot because she was so iconic.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And I thought what was really fascinating in her chart, when you look at the annual perfections, and the annual perfections, you guys, like, so the first house starts off at birth.
No, I got to watch birth chart. Okay.
So you got to watch the birth chart.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Irene, that's what I call you. Irene's pretty young. So yeah. No, I'm glad you watched it. And, you know, please comment. And if there's any questions or anything you noticed about it or thought about it, because, you know, she was a trailblazer, you know, and I think that I respect so much, because you know what they said, when she went to New York and she studied with Stanislavski, Lee Stanislavski, she became just this workaholic. And even on the film sets, like when she was trying to go from the modeling to become a movie star, she put in hours and hours and hours. So she would do 3 hours of practice of acting. She would do another hour of dance. Then she would exercise. She was doing all this stuff when she was like, you know, really young, 19, 20 years old, when she was trying to break in and bridge from the modeling to being a film star. And, you know, she really had a tough way to go, and she had to earn her spot. Like nothing was just like given to her. And you even had a lot of directors and producers at the time who rejected her. They didn't think she was talented enough. Some of them even said she wasn't pretty enough. I mean, which is hard to imagine, you know, because later on they were all like fawning over her, you know what I mean? So it was just like kind of like a trip, you know, because, you know, Marilyn was a pretty woman. You can't deny it. I mean, you know, she was just really, really pretty.
She was appealing. Irene, Max says Lee Strasberg.
Yes, Lee Strasberg, yes. Not
and Heather Parisi. Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather.
She loved Marilyn.
You love Marilyn too? No, she was, I mean, she was very relatable.
Heather, you're not that old.
But still, Marilyn, I think, has left an impression on women from all generations, even young girls today, because what Marilyn really, that Aquarius moon, you guys, being a visionary, being innovative and futuristic, being someone that cared about society through her rejection by her father and her mother. I mean, she really was kind of rejected, you know. She just had a bigger heart, you know what I mean? And that Aquarius moon, just so you know, it really speaks to that, being the mother, because the moon is your family, you create your body and your health. But her moon was in Aquarius in the 7th house. So it showed the detachment and the separation, right, of her parents, right? Even though when they got together, it was an affair, right? The husband, her father was married, and her and the mother, there was an affair. So they kind of had this hot fling. So that's why the sun and moon are both in air signs and a trine, the easy flow of energy. But the Aquarius moon in the 7th house indicates that separation and detachment. And also her mother being a schizophrenic, her mother was detached from Marilyn. So when you have an Aquarius moon, a lot of times you feel as if you were not nurtured and cared for by your mom. And later on in life, you may be in a position where you are always guiding or teaching your mother. You know, once she kind of pulled away from mom, I don't know if they ever really, you know, connected back again. I didn't see anything, you know, like that. So
Irene is wondering about her Saturn placement.
yeah, well, that's Saturn in the 4th house in Scorpio. It really spoke to the mother's emotional abuse. Her mom was you know, it wasn't a good relationship. So Saturn in Scorpio, I think for Marilyn, it almost like spoke to her being a ward of the state, right? Because remember, she went into foster care. Her mom just like gave her away.
Well,
Like,
her mother, if she's schizophrenic, she,
well, yeah, no,
she
and that's
was
what happened.
sick. That,
Yeah,
you know, she couldn't.
but she also later on she connected with her older sister. Was it Meredith Miracle Baker or something? So her half sister, she was pretty close with, and she was 7 years older than Marilyn, and they connected, you know. But Marilyn, you know, she did not have it easy growing up, and she spoke about the stepfather sexually abusing her, and then also in the foster care, and then obviously in the film industry. And it never seemed like it was other actors. It was always the directors and producers, you know.
They had the most power to hold over people.
And interestingly enough, there were a few that she wanted to sleep with, and they told her no. So I thought that was kind of fascinating. And forgive me, I forgot their names, but I was just like, oh, wow, okay. But they, you know, kind of rejected Marilyn. So I thought that was, you know, really kind of heavy, because I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Now, Arthur Miller, that was the longest marriage. Now, James Doherty and Joe DiMaggio wanted her to be the housewife. They were both more conservative. James Doherty went to the military, and while he went to the military, he was upset that, and it's kind of funny, right? Because I told you he was the Aries, but the annual perfection year was in the 5th house of Sagittarius, which is like law and order, but it's traveling to foreign lands, but it's also associated with sports. So that 5th house for both marriages works for James Doherty and for the baseball player Joe DiMaggio, who was literally the sports figure who was the Sagittarius. So I thought that was, you know, really
Dan
fascinating.
Figueroa is saying, hey.
What's up, Danny? I ain't seen you in forever.
And Irene Mack is saying she's Saturn in 4th, but conjunct Pluto as well.
Oh.
And Irene is interesting.
Wow. Okay. So you have, Irene, you have a lot of similarities with Miss Marilyn Monroe. That's kind of fascinating, you know. And you know what's so funny, you guys, and we'll go to the chart in a second, but when people pass away, you can see sometimes in transit that the chart is still kind of like their chart is still active. So I think, for an example, I don't know, haven't heard of any Marilyn Monroe movies or any, big news stories about her. But when they just did the Elvis Presley film, I believe there was something in transit in his chart that indicated, that. And so, you could kind of like look at the years. I mean, right now, she would be, 3 years away from being 100. Right. So she would be 97. She was born in 1926. So, we're talking about 72, 84, 96. So 97, she would be in her Virgo second house, annual perfection. Okay. So that would go back to how she would earn money, So, wait, look at that. A Virgo is analyzing and assessing her birth chart. There you go. I'm the Virgo astrologer. There you go.
Irene's mentioning that she's my astro twin.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
And Dan Figueroa was saying to Irene, that's awesome.
Well, yeah. And maybe we can rekindle the Irene Danny story. It's been a long time, you guys. So, and I hope, Danny, you got the email.
Put a little rainbow
out. Yeah, and I hope, Danny, you're going to be at Coffee Talk on Saturday on the 22nd. So, before we get to the chat, any other thoughts or questions or comments about her chart, her energy? So, now, one thing that's really fascinating, she read books about the metaphysics, and you're going to see her 8th house. Okay. Pisces. And that's when she started her modeling career, taking the photos in the 8th house annual perfection, you guys, where she has Mars and Uranus and Pisces in the 8th house. You can't make that up. You just really can't. So let's see. Any questions? Because once I go to the chart, I won't be able to see. If you guys have any questions, I won't go on the chart forever, but ask me now before we bring up the chart. Anything? Any no comments? Oh, no, that's all.
Heather Parise is saying, how did Kennedy's sign fit in with her chart?
So, okay, that's a great question because he was a Gemini as well. And the 11th house represents the politician and them connecting the sun, Mercury. Now, there's rumors that they met at, I don't know if it was Bing Crosby's house but it was some event where they met, and people have, pontificated that is where they may have had their sexual encounter. But some people, so there's a couple of rumors and schools of thought. I was trying to track down a whole bunch of stuff, but understand she died August 5th, 1962. His inauguration was the day when she got the divorce from Arthur Miller because she didn't want the attention on her divorce. So she did it on January 20th, 1961 on his inauguration day. Right. So that's also 11th house, because I actually think Arthur Miller was the number one. He was the third husband. That's the 11th house. And I think also he was a Gemini. So there's all this connection there, Heather, that's really fascinating. But the 11th house does represent like the president, or like, the 10th house is the government and authority, but the 11th house is like the actual politician, where the 5th house is political discussion and debate. The 11th house is like the hopes, dreams, and wishes. So she wanted, to be bigger than life. And I think that connection to JFK, but there's rumors, she got with RFK, but two schools of thought, either to spite him or that JFK kind of passed her off to RFK. But understand, this all happened in a time period of barely like a year and a half. From 61 to 62. And then right there in 63 November, he's assassinated. So that was all in that kind of 12th and first house annual perfection. So we're going to get to the chart and look at that and kind of peep out her, her 11th house. And
Heather's saying
12th
smart
house.
gal.
Oh, oh, she was. That Aquarius moon really speaks to it.
And even Irene is saying how astrology is so amazing.
It really is. Now, which one is it? This one?
Going up here.
Astro.com.
Okay.
All right. All right. So you guys can see the chart now. So this is what's really so fascinating, right? Because so you're seeing, her Neptune, Lilith, Ceres, the goddess of harvest. I'll say this. She could have had some sort of issues with food. Don't know, if she did or not, but there could have been some, potential eating issues. But this is what I want to show you. So her 12th house, right? We're dealing with the hidden enemies, hidden talents. Now, she had a couple of miscarriages, but somewhere in my spirit, I feel like she didn't want to be the housewife and the home family maker. But I could have seen Marilyn being almost like a Angelina Jolie and maybe later in life adopting children. I think that's something that may have played out for her because the hidden talent was that she was very sweet and had a divine inner knowing and very nurturing and caring. Now remember, her south node is here. So it actually kind of karmically speaks to separating her from the mother, from home life, from being a mother, right? And the 12th house is like her mom going into like a psych ward. And they put Marilyn in one. And you know who got her out of it? Dun, 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 dun. The baseball player. Joe DiMaggio threatened to break down the little insane asylum where they put her. And this is after, remember, they were only married 9 months. Joe DiMaggio came to her rescue because she actually threatened to cut herself with glass. But then she said later on, she would have never done that. She said, I'm an actress. I'm too vain. But she threatened to say, if you guys don't let me out of here, I'm going to cut myself and scar myself, all this stuff. So that's really deep because you kind of see that in this 12th house, Vesta, eternal flame, twin flame energy, and the south node there. So, and obviously Pluto. So this Pluto, when you have Pluto in the 12th house, now Pluto is your soul psychology. It's power, control, sex, abuse, pain, trauma, crises. What happened? In the home she went through, in the 12th house is the bedroom, bed pleasures for sleeping and for sex. She went through sexual abuse. So not everyone that has Pluto in the 12th house will experience sexual abuse, but yes, they did go through some sort of physical, mental, or emotional abuse that affected the subconscious mind. Okay. She dealt with that. Donald Trump had it from his father and grandfather, right? Fred Trump was, very no emotion and stuff like that. And he's the Leo rising. So he has the same energy as Marilyn Monroe too, that Pluto 12th house, And so with Marilyn though, you can see this Pluto, it did affect her psychologically because she was always looking for daddy. And then when she finally got to communicate with him, an annual perfection year, I think it may have been when she was, 35, 34, 33, 32. It may have actually been around here, 31 years old. It was either like, sorry, I'm just trying to think and remember, but it was somewhere around the 8th or 9th house perfection. And the father rejected her. But this was what's interesting. She went into Venus Aries, this is when her mother, okay, at 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. 19.
It's not on the screen.
Oh, it's not on the screen? Okay. Okay. Sorry, you guys. Technical difficulty. It should be up now. I was looking at the chart, but you guys couldn't see it. Sorry. So here, now you can see what I was talking about, having the, here's the Goddess of Harvest series here. So that could, now this is what's fascinating.
I'm not getting any of the readout.
Yeah, no, we don't see the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's how you know that it's. So when you have the Goddess of Harvest in the first 4 houses, you can get lost sometimes or kidnapped as a child. Or just like even lost in a mall or this and that or whatever. Oh, she forgot to close the door.
Okay.
I didn't close the door. Like that's something that can happen. But it also can speak to sometimes eating disorders especially when it's by the Neptune or the Lilith. And I don't know as an actress if she was trying to maintain weight or different things, if that was an issue. But here's what I was showing you with the 12th house, the Vesta, the South Node, and the Pluto. Okay. So that's really fascinating. And then you're dealing with the Gemini, Sun, and Mercury. So she was definitely, because the Sun is also the father, but it's her personality, her authority, her ego, her vitality. So her self-expression. So her connecting with JFK, it was like, it was written, you know what I mean? Like that's literally Mercury, her communicating and doing the song, right? Singing and communicating for the president. That's right here in this house. And this is also the year, no, maybe it was this year when she left Arthur Miller. Okay. And that was in 1961. So, it's so tragic and so sad, but she went through a lot. But this Venus in Aries, yeah, Marilyn was pretty assertive and aggressive when it came to relationships, but also her money and arts and culture. She was kind of a vanguard and a visionary in the sense that she was not trying to just be this studio girl and studio head. The fact that when she went to New York, that she wanted to start her own independent film company, this is in the late 50s, early 60s. I mean, that's freaking so ahead of her time. That's very Aquarius moon, very Venus in Aries, So she was able to initiate her acting career, her modeling. So look at this. This was the year, right, when she was 17 years old, okay? So remember, the first house was 12, so 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16, she got married in the 5th house to James Doherty, and then later again to Joe DiMaggio in 50, I think it was maybe 54. Okay, it was 54. And they only lasted 9 months, right? Now, when she was 30, but let's go back to 16, 17, 18, 19. The husband goes off to war, and this is when she started doing the film modeling. What does Pisces represent, you guys? Photography and film. So that's when she initiated that in the 8th house here, and Mars is the initiator. So she was the one that initiated that. And this is kind of funny too. This is kind of random, but also when she said she was reading books about the metaphysics and reading about Plato, Socrates, and Ulysses, and all this different stuff. Uranus, Mars conjunction in the 8th house. The 8th house is secret societies, the government, right? All these different things but it's like other people's money. So she was making money in photography. And what did she have to do? She had to take nude pictures because she had no money. And she was offered money. I think it was maybe 25,000 or something to take these nude pictures. And later on, as she started to build her acting career, it came back to bite her. But this was so Venus Aries and Aquarius, Venus Aries and Aquarius Moon. She got in front of it and said, yeah, well, I guess what? I did what I had to do. And she admitted that the pictures were her. The film studio said, no, don't claim it. And just let her. She said, no, this is what I had to do to survive as a young single woman trying to make it in the industry. I got offered money to take naked pictures, so I did it. So I mean,
She was smart.
yeah, that is some Aquarius moon stuff to do, right? And look, Jupiter. So this would indicate to you that she would have multiple marriages. Now, I'm not telling you. Now, Jupiter does represent the husband. Now, she never married an Aquarius husband. But having Aquarius in the 7th house and Jupiter in the moon, she was kind of open to different types of relationships and she needed freedom in relationships. Mm-hmm. She didn't want to be smothered. Mm-hmm. James Doherty and Joe DiMaggio were trying to give her like 5 kids and make her a housewife. Marilyn was like, excuse me. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get educated. I'm trying to make movies and be a star, but I'm trying to be a serious actor. What is Aquarius? Saturn and Uranus, but this is a very serious moon. She was such a visionary. She had plans and dreams. The Jupiter in Aquarius could represent a husband. So she really, when she did marry Arthur Miller, it was 30 years old. The 7th house annual perfection. So this was the husband who respected her intelligence, right? Her mind. And she said that she was not only attracted to him, but she finally met someone that got her intellectually. Mm-hmm. Arthur Miller, because remember, he was a writer, a playwright, and a writer, and wrote The Misfits for her. So that's really deep because the Jupiter Aquarius, it really represented. Now, meanwhile, he was the 3rd husband, right? So that's over here in the 11th house. And with the Gemini, and I believe one of you guys could check it real quick, but Arthur Miller was himself, I believe, a Gemini. So she had an Aries, a Sag, and a Gemini. So, really interesting. This Chiron wound, that was from Dad, 10th house. Now, the part of fortune's here too, because Taurus, she was using her throat and being sensual and her physical body as an actress. Part of fortune is how you can get your money, spiritual and financial blessings. This is when she was in her first film at 24, 23, 22, 21 years old, Miss Pilgrim. That's the 21 years old annual perfection. So your 10th house is always when you're 21. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then again, it wraps around when you're 33. But so that's really powerful but 0, Chiron moon, the mother and father were never married, and she never really knew her dad. And then when she finally got in touch with him, he rejected her. So that wound stayed with her whole life. That was a tough one for Marilyn. But you see this Taurus midheaven, she was definitely right about the physical body and sensuality and using, the sexual trauma made her stutter. And so her acting coach kind of gave her the tools to kind of whisper. And that kind of helped her with saying her lines and to stop her stuttering.
I never knew
Yeah,
that.
I never knew that. That was really
Right, that's
fascinating.
interesting.
And that came from her being sexually abused. So that's really heavy. So she had a speech impediment. Okay. And
That's what making the most of with what you've got.
yeah.
That was part of her, almost
And
her trademark.
you can't see it anywhere. I'm trying to see, but the way that I would see it in the chart, you guys, is probably this Cancer South Node, the 12th house. And it opposing the 6th house. So remember, she had a lot of physical, and she had the miscarriages because she had the endometriosis, where women can't carry babies so good, and had miscarriages, and she had a lot of pelvic pain. So she had a lot of pain in her physical body. Well, that's Capricorn, the bones.
Oh,
Yeah.
Marilyn.
So she really, and that's what got her caught up with the pills and the medicine. Now, when she died, though, it was August 5th. Look, Leo season, 36 years old, annual perfection, 0, 12, 24, 36. Leo. It's literally in the birth chart. So that year that she died, she not only died in her first house perfection, she died in Leo season, and she's a Leo ascendant. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, you guys. And with Lilith and Neptune there, that tells you there was maybe some chemicals and addiction, but it could have also been with some deception. I don't think she committed suicide. I really don't.
I don't think
I don't think that is. She was very driven and focused, and she had purpose.
If it was accidental.
Yes,
if she was involved with it, I kind of don't see it either.
Yeah, because
she was too cerebral. I think she would have thought more.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you really can see here in the chart. Now, this moon in Aquarius, okay, is kind of in a position at 19 degrees, where it is opposing. It's pretty much opposing the Neptune at 22. Okay. And this really is speaking to a lot of illness to the physical body. She went through a lot. And I think on record, they said there was at least 2 miscarriages. Who only knows, right? Women can have multiple miscarriages and not tell a soul. So who really knows, But she had that condition that really caused her pain in the abdomen and pelvic area. Endometriosis, yeah. And she really couldn't, had issues with that. That's why I feel like that she may have adopted in the future. That's something that, because when you look at her 5th house, and you know what? Wow. Oh, that's the Saturn is squaring the Neptune too. Wow. So, okay. And that Neptune, that's the Scorpio Saturn, that to me represents the RFK. And this is one thing that I taught in my course. I think that she may have actually cared about RFK, where she had the fling with JFK, but then maybe really there was something more with RFK. Because that Scorpio 4th house of home and the Saturn can represent the authority or the government. This would be him. And maybe she felt at home with him. But when you see this Saturn squaring the Neptune, I mean, it could literally be the government or they said maybe it was JFK and RFK that had her killed because of pillow talk, that maybe she knew certain things. We don't know. you know, and it's just it's so sad, but it's a beautiful life, as all of our lives are beautiful. But she, you know, this Neptune in Leo, this is the legendary iconic star. She was destined to be bigger than life and to overcome all the early childhood abuse from mom, neglect from dad, foster family, stepfather abuse. This, like, it's all here, but she still persevered. That Capricorn North Node, she was about her business in the 6th house. Okay. She was determined to, you know, to really, oh, I'm sorry, the Cancer North Node, the Capricorn South Node. She was determined to be someone who was big. Oh, and that's what it was. That's why I was saying that I think that she may have adopted, right? Because the Capricorn South Node in the 6th house, right? It's almost like that was inherited to her, the endometriosis, right? That was a sickness, and it affected her physical body, Capricorn South Node. And you could even interpret it that it would separate her from the father figure associated with Capricorn Saturn, right? Saturn in the 4th house. And this could have even talked about mom being kind of the, you know, disciplinarian. And maybe this Saturn here, you guys, is representing the stepfather. Okay. The stepfather in the 4th house. But either way, there were restrictions, there was neglect, there were fears and anxiety in the home. But when you have Saturn in the 4th house, eventually you can even work for the government, right? Or work, you know, or be someone who is extremely disciplined. And I get the sense that she was disciplined about her, what, Scorpio? Money. She was fighting to earn more and stuff like that. And that's what she finally did when she broke out of that contract and then signed that $400,000 deal with, I think it was Fox Films. Okay. So, but, you know, there was something that pulling her towards this isolation. You know, it's, I don't know. It's kind of sad. So we're going to get back to the chat. If you guys have any questions, put them in there now. I really think that, you know, she could have been into the metaphysics. She might have known something about astrology and numerology even back then. You know, celebrities sometimes. And celebrities, because a birth chart, you had to pay an astrologer and it would take like a month. So it was only really wealthy people that got their birth charts done back then. You know, it was very expensive. Juno in Pisces, she really wanted a spiritual, compassionate love. You know, she was kind of looking for love in the wrong places, you know. But she knew some secrets. This is Pisces men could have been, oh, there you go. The 8th house shows who's sexually attracted to you. Pisces, photographers and filmmakers. Haha. Mars, boyfriends. Uranus, sudden affairs, sudden events. That's what she went through. Okay. But look at us. Her beliefs, philosophies were about the collective, humanity, social services, Jupiter Aquarius. That represents the husband, but Jupiter is your beliefs, your philosophies, your wisdom, your higher learning. Oh, yeah, she was into some esoteric knowledge. It's going to be hard for you to meet too many Aquarius moons and Aquarius Jupiter people that aren't into something. Okay, it's definitely you know, a placement like that, I would say. So, oh, Norma Jean. Oh, and I forgot the story, you guys, of when she. We're gonna get back to the
The same one? You want me to
Yeah.
do the same one?
Restream. I mean, yeah, back to restream.
Astrology.
No, to the restream.
Okay.
Where is it?
Is it the same one that I pressed before? Over to the right.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we got to get back to the show. There we go. All right. So, any comments or questions before we wrap it up? You know, hope you guys enjoyed that.
Okay. Susan Walther,
Mm-hmm.
clearly hearing that she got a $400K deal with Fox Films, she would have been one of the highest paid actresses of her time.
Yes, and she was at that point, but she had to fight for that. And that contract, I don't know if she got to earn all of it or if it was fulfilled, but that finally happened. I believe it was 1960 or 61. But she did a total of, think about 39 different films.
Wow.
She really, she was working, sent from 21 to 36.
Ellen Brown says hi, Eric, and everybody.
Hey, welcome you guys. So it's a fascinating chart. She was a true legend, a true icon. Any other comments or questions? Or maybe move up a little.
Okay.
If there's any other ones, new ones. But,
Oh yeah, they were saying about not being able to see the chart.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah, sorry, it came up on my screen, but yeah, but the wifey came in and corrected us. So thank you guys. But she was truly amazing. And if you guys have any requests of people, I've been putting up different things in community for you guys to vote on. It takes time, and I'm going to get to a lot of the people, but this is just how I spiritually feel what's right. Unless I have permission, I won't do a famous person or celebrity or politician that's alive. Only people that have passed away. So up on deck, I'm going to do the JFK, the RFK, JFK Jr., Bob Marley, Muhammad Ali, Kurt Cobain. Somebody requested Steve Jobs. So those are a few. Whitney Houston, you guys voted. So Princess Diana. I'm going to get to all those people because it's fascinating. But if there's someone that you personally want to see, hey, throw your hat in the ring, and I will try to get to them. I was, my recent poll was about rappers, and so I have to research Tupac's, birth time because he was born in prison. So I want to get it accurate to his life experience, passing away at age 25, which would be the second house annual perfection. So I've got to, reenact the chart based on his, story and life events, which I can figure out fairly easily. I just, got to bring it up. But I know people have been voting for DMX or Notorious Big. I put in other rappers, but you guys that, nobody really voted that much for Heavy D or Big Pun or Guru. I met Guru from Gangstar, so I wanted to put him in. Definitely Whitney Houston and Kurt Cobain. Fascinating. Princess Diana's chart, you guys, that is heavy. I taught that in my class. And but I also, Ronald Reagan. That was really fascinating, especially for medical astrology stuff, because him and Muhammad Ali, obviously with the Parkinson's and the Alzheimer's, dementia, and, Ronald Reagan is famous for using an astrologer to set up meetings with Mikhail Gorbachev. And he used an astrologer to schedule Nancy Reagan's breast cancer surgery. So that's really powerful.
Was it him or was it she that was more astrology prone?
Well, yeah.
Nancy.
I mean, it may have been Nancy who was the one that orchestrated it, but he used it for his presidency. Even for some of the meetings that he scheduled with Mikhail Gorbachev, from Russia. So that just gives you a little insight to Reagan. That's really interesting and stuff.
Inanen Astarte. Inanen Astarte. Amazed that that was amazing. Should do Farrah Fawcett's birth chart, but yeah, that would be an interesting one too.
I love Farrah Fawcett. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
When did
And-
she? I forgot when she passed away, but yeah, she was fascinating. Farrah Fawcett was really something
yeah,
else.
that was an interesting demise too.
So, any last questions or comments about Marilyn or other famous celebrity
Susan
people?
Walters mentioned, now I don't know what you were on at the time, but said something like Madonna in a way, though no idea of Madonna's childhood or family.
Well, Madonna, she's an interesting character.
Okay.
But-
Farrah Fawcett, in an Astarte, I think. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. She passed away in 2009.
Yes, I
Farrah
do
Fawcett.
remember. Okay, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I really, oh gosh, loved her growing up as Charlie's Angels and growing up watching that in the 70s and 80s. I was a big fan, But yeah, my mother loved Farrah Fawcett too. So I'll throw her in the list. It's a new series. I obviously started with Michael Jackson. That was fascinating. You guys go back and watch that. Richard Pryor was really fascinating. So was Marvin Gaye and Marilyn Monroe. So that's who I've done so far. And they really, people speak to you from the grave. And I think it's a great way to experience and learn astrology. So I thank you guys. Not sure when I'll be on next week for episode 150. I feel like I got to make it a special show. But actually, it will be. Because I will wait, because next Wednesday I have on Miss Angela Rose for episode 150 for discussing relationships and human design. So come Wednesday night. It's either 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern, and you'll see I'll post it up, and bring your human design questions. Look up your human design profile. I'm a 1-3 generator, so you guys can go look it up. You can just Google it. And come and bring your questions and relationship questions around human design for Miss Angela Rose. This will be her third time on, so it's going to be really fun. And I'm excited and looking forward to that, okay? Remember, you guys enjoy. Make sure you watch the Aries North Node video and the Cancer New Moon to really help you with the energies for Monday, okay? It's a new beginning. There's a lot going on. A Cardinal Grand Cross. And there's a lot of energy for the cardinal signs. So you Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorns, you're up to bat, you're on stage, and it affects all of us. But if you have a sun, moon rising in Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, you're really going to be feeling a lot of energy. Okay.
Jovanka Magana. She says she's very late. She passed, and that's right. Farrah Fawcett passed away from colon cancer.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Jovanka.
Hey, Jovanka.
She said she thinks you should do Lisa Marie Presley and Elvis.
Oh, yeah. Well, Lisa Marie, wow, that was surprising.
That was a surprise.
But I'll tell you this about Lisa Marie's chart. On her 25th birthday, she received an inheritance that Elvis had set up for her, second house, annual perfection. And the inheritance, 8th house, she had the 8th house ruler in the second house, and the second house ruler in the 8th house. So it showed, her getting whatever, how many millions of dollars, 88 million or something, or $208 million on her 25th birthday. So that was really wild. I, did some stuff in one of my astrology courses that I took years ago and learned about Lisa Marie and that stuff. So, all right, you guys, it's dinner time. Wifey's done it again, and I've got to go eat. So I'll see you guys Wednesday night.
The master chef.
Bring your questions for human design, and this was fun. Thank you, Marilyn Monroe. God bless you, and all the people that love you.
Have a nice evening, everyone.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. Bye.